Hey, this is Trader Travis, and what I'm going to do is today show you a simple path to becoming a millionaire in 10 years. Now, note I said simple and not easy. I'm also going to take a moment to do a golden nugget recap. For the last 18 days, I've been releasing one piece of content each day. It's part of a 30-day challenge. I'm challenging myself to show up for the first 30 days of 2020, revealing some of the most powerful concepts I've learned over the last 20 years as an investor. And today what I want to do is a golden nugget recap is, well, first a pop quiz for you. Can you remember, out of 18 pieces of content I've released, each was about 10 minutes or less, can you remember everything I taught you word from word? Is it committed to memory? If it is not, that proves what one personal development guy says, is that repetition is the mother of skill. You have to keep reviewing concepts until they are committed to memory. I can look at these videos and pretty much regurgitate what I taught you in those videos because it's secondhand nature for me. You have to keep reading the same book 3 times until it's like tying your shoes. Your subconscious, your conscious is all aligned. How you spend money, how you build wealth is all part of your being, right? Because if you do not continue stretching that money muscle in your head, how you think, then it will revert back to how you were raised. And if the way you were raised, like me, does not equal, oh, I turn out to be rich, then we have to keep at this. Anyway, let me move on because I didn't want to turn this into a little sermon here. Okay, so what I want to do is use this video, day 5, where I talked about my 5 rules of stock investing, part 2 of 2, because I made a comment about, hey, there's no wealth without savings. And actually, if you look at my website where I talk about our 5-year retirement plan, that case study showing you how my wife and I achieved financial independence, well, I said how we did it: high savings, prudent investing, and getting out of debt. And then in red and bolded, there's no wealth without savings. Today is an example of that. It's a visual example. So we have 2 columns here, column A and B. I'll just highlight column A right now because this is reality. This is the script I used to be on. Someone who wanted or wishes they were rich because you think that if you have more money, life would be better. And my mentor said, no, it's not true. If you get new money, you're going to spend the new money like how you spend your current money. How you do anything is how you do everything. It's some kind of invisible script you have, or maybe it's visible and you realize it. Is a certain script you have is when you get $1 in your hands, what do you do with it? Well, this is what I used to do with it here in column A. And we're going to use a high earnings right here. I'll come back to these dollar amounts here. Maybe you don't make this much, but this is a family. Let's say combined income is 140 grand a year. And let's assume they're in a 25% tax bracket, right? This is just a summary. Don't argue with the math. If you argue with the math, that's what my mentor called a loser's limp. You're trying to poke holes in something, find a reason why it won't work for you, it doesn't apply to you. It's a loser's limp. He said a loser's limp is an excuse to fail at something without trying. So don't argue with the math. Just look at the big picture, what you're learning here. Okay, so $35,000 goes to taxes. You have $105,000 left over. And here's a budgeted breakdown of what you do with that money. $925 goes to car payments for 2 vehicles, $600 in gas, $370 family cell phone bill, $190 cable bill, $2,700 that's mortgage, taxes plus expenses, water, electricity, all that. $2,500 in food, $800 blow count, that's clothes, movies, travel. $500 for Operation Money Suck, aka kids. That's what I call them, Operation Money Suck. Right? That's for clothes, their activities, things like that. Go to the store, I want this, I want that, whatever. And then $165 in credit card interest. And then if you add all that up, you pretty much have spent your whole paycheck, everything you earn. There's 0 left over for savings. This is called living check to check. This is what the majority of America does, and is what I used to do. So I understand that struggle, and trust me, some people get offended by this word. They're like, it's not professional. Well, you know what? Living like this is not professional, and living like this sucks. And I hated it, and I decided I have to get off of this treadmill. So, thanks to Dave Ramsey, I don't agree with everything he preaches and teaches, but he helped us get off this treadmill by teaching us how to get out of consumer debt. So that's where you move over here to column B. This is the budget of someone who is committed to being wealthy. How do you know someone's committed to being wealthy? Well, by their actions, not what comes out their mouth, but by their actions. Same income, same taxes, same amount of money left over. Notice that it's the same amount of money, but what you do with that money makes all the difference. $0 in car payments. Why? Dave Ramsey taught us to pay cash for cars. So you get rid of those car payments immediately. Then you get $300 in gas because why? You're more budget conscious. You carpool. Maybe one of you rides a bike to work. I don't know. You find a way. You don't use an excuse. You find a way to reduce your expenses. No excuses, only commitment. Then you realize, we're paying too much for cell phone bills. We don't need all this data. You don't need the data. When you're on Wi-Fi, you use your Wi-Fi to watch videos, not your cell data, all that other stuff. You reduce it to $150, right? Get rid of cable, which we did, right? We just had Netflix, $14. We have cable now, but my in-laws paid for it because they wanted it. Now, the mortgage. The way you reduce your mortgage is stop buying what you can afford. Just because they approve you for a $400,000 house doesn't mean you buy a $400,000 house. You decide, this $200,000 house is just going to be good enough for us, right? Smaller house, smaller expenses. Next, you realize, wow, we're going out to eat too much. We spend too much on food. So you get your food down to $1,600. $150 for a blow account. You just cut back on it a little bit. Stop going to the movies as much, things like that. $200 for Operation Money Suck, aka kids. Well, kids, if you want something in the store, well, you have to come up with the money, right? Save your money that you get for Christmas and birthdays and things like that. Or like us, we just stop buying stuff for our kids. As simple as that. We say, if you want a toy, you come up with a way to come up with the money. You want a toy, you find a way to get the money to buy that toy. Because we took a parenting class and the guy said something that just gave me the biggest aha moment. You're not raising kids, you're trying to raise a successful adult. The quicker your kids can learn how to be like adults and make decisions like adults, the better for them. Guess what? When I want something, I don't have a money fairy I can go to buy it. So I'm like, kids, if you want something when you're an adult, you got to go to work to earn the money, right? You can't ask mommy and daddy for it all the time. So we teach them, here's how you can get money. Ask the neighbor, can you shovel this, snow out his driveway? Some way, somehow, they have to come up with money. And you know what? When you put the responsibility for them to buy their toys in their lap, magically they stop wanting as much. When we go to the store, they don't ask for anything anymore. Why? Because they know they have to buy it. Moving on. Credit card interest, 0. Why? We got out of debt. Now, out of all of this, what do you notice? We're doing the same thing as the column A here. We just do it just a tad bit different. This is not like living on rice and beans. We just cut back a little bit. But that little bit turns into pretty much a 50% savings rate. So now we have 45-36 we can put into savings versus 0. But look, we still spent 105 for the year, just like the person in column A. Now, what do we do with this money? That's where we come over here to one of my favorite examples, my compound interest calculator that my wife hates when I break out numbers like this. What did she say? If you watched our video here where we talked about marriage and money, how, where is it at? Marriage and money, how two opposites make it work. She's like, anything with numbers, I am not interested. So anytime I break out a calculator, she completely tunes me out, right? So anyway, so we take that savings rate, right? From that example, we plug it in here. 10 years, you earn 18% a year. And I'll get to the 18% because someone's like, you can't earn 18% a year. If you do that for 10 years, here's how much you have. $1.3 million. Now, the tough question I have for you. See, people may argue with the math and they poke holes in it, loser's limp, but you cannot argue with results. Have you been working for longer than 10 years? Do you have $1.3 million? If you do not, again, there's some kind of money script you're operating off that's causing you to spend money in a certain way, or not spend money, handle money in a certain way that's not resulting in the $1.3 million. So 2 things, I know 2 special snowflakes out there are going to be arguing, despite me talking about losers' limps. You can't earn 18%. Okay, let's look at the actual buy and hold. We're not talking about options now, buy and hold. Let's look at buy and hold and performance over the last 10 years. 31%, -4, right? We're going to get rid of the negatives here in a second. I'll show you why. 21%, 11%, 1%, 13, 32, 15, blah, blah, blah. You get the point. Just regular buy and hold actually earns that, right? The reason I say we get rid of the negatives because we're going to talk about this spreadsheet here in a second. The way I've taught Success Academy members how you get the best of buy and hold, you get the gain without the pain, is you buy insurance, right? And you can see here in this portfolio is that I spend roughly invest roughly 10 to 20% of my money in insurance. So that eats into my portfolio performance, but it's how I get the gain without the pain. So I handled the objection there that I know some special snowflake is going to have, right? About, oh, you can earn 18%. I definitely know somebody's gonna be like, well, I don't earn 104 a year and I can't save $4,000 a month. You're right, you can't, because you have a loser mentality. But okay, let me meet you halfway. Matter of fact, I'll meet you more than halfway. Can you do what Trader Travis himself did? And that is, I drove a completely beater car for, gosh, probably close to 20 years. Let's say I got rid of my car because my millionaire mentor told me to. And I just decided after a while I didn't want a new car. I get zero value out of driving a new car. Then we're going to increase this about 14 years. I drove the car more than 14 years, but put it this way. When I moved here, people watched me drive that 1980 Honda Accord for 14 years, right? They watched me never buy a new car, never understanding what I was doing. They bought new cars like every 2 years, people we know, right? All right, for 14 years, I drove that car. If you just put that money in the stock market, you may not have that $44,000 to save, but I know most people in America have $565 that they can invest, right? You do that for 14 years, standard bond holder, just getting 18%. Here's the results, $350,000. Now, how does this come into play? Because it leads to the message I have been trying to share with my wife for over 14 years, which if you watch the video of us two where she said I had overwhelmed her with information. And I take responsibility for that as because I'm not the most effective communicator. So I've been trying different ways of conveying this. And so here's the point that I have been trying to make unsuccessfully for a long time, is that don't underestimate the power of your paycheck. You see, just one small shift in your paycheck, what you do with the money from your paycheck, creates a significant difference in your net worth. And then if you were to use the strategies in the Success Academy, you know, that $350,000 could potentially earn anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000 a month. 7 would be conservative if we use really, really conservative strategies like renting out our stock shares. 3% is more aggressive. So anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000. So again, this is what I have been unsuccessfully trying to convey to my wife. And again, I take responsibility for not being the best communicator because I've been trying to talk about this for years. She thinks that I think spending money is stupid. And I'm like, no. It's just if we spend money like a poor person or middle class person in column A, that's what I have an issue with. I don't want to go back there. I'd rather spend money like a wealthy person, right? A wealthy person would make the sacrifices here. I wouldn't say a wealthy person, a person committed to being wealthy. They make the sacrifices here. They get the $350 in their account. And then when they get their profit, they could then sell covered calls and then earn 10 grand a month. At that point, you have earned the right to jump back over to column A. Why? Because now your expenses, your $8,700 a month is not coming from your blood and sweat, your corporate America blood and sweat where you trade time for dollars. Now, all of these expenses, I would never finance a car, but still, even if I wanted to, now this $8,000 a month is not paid for with my blood and sweat. It's paid for by my asset. This is what I've been trying to teach her. I have no problem with spending money as long as you spend money like a wealthy person. This $8,000 is coming from an asset, not your blood and sweat, not from you trading time for dollars. And wife, I will be glad to discuss this with you, to overwhelm you with more talk about money. Talk about it anytime with me. But regardless, let me stop joking. Hey, I hope you found some value out of it. You take care. See you in tomorrow's video. Bye-bye.